Okay, we're in Florence, Oregon on the Siuslaw River Bridge. Siuslaw. The only thing in the Midwest where I grew up that rhymes with Siuslaw is coleslaw. So we're going to drive south to Reedsport and Winchester Bay and look around today. So hang on to your hat, happy campers. And here comes the sign, Gardner, 18 miles. And then Reedsport's 3 miles past that, or 2 miles, so it's technically 20 miles to Reedsport. It's technically 23 miles to Winchester Bay. I'm really surprised they got Gardner on that sign and not Reedsport, because Reedsport's the biggest. I mean, they don't even have a convenience store in Gardner. It's only 7:45 a.m. 7:45 a.m. I like to pull into the lake here at Honeyman in the morning if I'm driving by and just look at it for 5 minutes. At sunrise, Cleewalks Lake. It's a good sunrise lake. I mean, it's one of the most popular campgrounds in the entire state of Oregon, they say, so I don't think the park's open, but they got paddle boats and everything going on here now. I just want to show you the lake here. Look at all these people. They're already fishing down here. I'll just show it to you and then I'll leave because these fishermen don't like you bugging them. Look at how beautiful that is in the morning. Isn't that nice? Yeah, see, they don't even open till 8. This is one of the best campgrounds. It's not that expensive, like $35 a night or something. People from Eugene love this campground. Then you drive straight across the highway here and you got Wohink Lake, and that's a way much bigger lake. They got big, huge bass in Wohink, see? That's how you spell it, Wohink. I like driving down the coast at sunrise because there's hardly any traffic. It literally is the best time of day, like you're on vacation and you get up at 6 a.m. and drive till 9 or 10 before there's any traffic out here on the coast. And then you can pretty much stop where you're going and get set up for the whole day before, noon. All right, let's head south. Yeah, they got the rhododendron flowers everywhere. All right, praise God today. Here we go. Praise the name of Jesus. You know what I see now more than I've ever seen in my lifetime? Retired people on bicycles or those electric bikes, but they have a switch on the electric bike that you have to pedal or the electricity won't work. They're not pedaling but they gotta move the pedals to give themselves some exercise. But I see older people like me now on bicycles. I see 20 or 30 of them every day now getting their exercise. They ride 5 miles in the morning and go home. I think that's amazing. Hey, look, it's the Dukes of Hazzard. Tailgating me and passing me. So you got Wohink Lake, Cleewalks Lake, and then here, you got the West Lake area, Dune City. They got a huge lake down there. There's so many lakes in this area of the Oregon coast, and streams and rivers and ponds too, little ponds. And then here you got Silkus River. That's some good salmon fishing there. And then on top of it you have, I don't know, you might have 20 or 30 or more campgrounds within 45 minutes of Florence, Oregon. And don't forget the sand dunes. Goes from Florence all the way to Coos Bay. But the main parts are Florence, Reedsport, Winchester Bay is huge for them now. And then it picks up in Coos Bay. And then you turn there again, more campgrounds, and then on the west side here, you got Silkus Campground, Silkus Hiking Trail that goes all the way back to Silkus Lake in dunes. And, you know, they used to call it White City. It's like Dune City. Okay, we're in Lane County, and now we're leaving Lane County. Douglas County, right there. Douglas County. We just entered Douglas County. Douglas County, right there. Douglas County. Just entered Douglas County. Then you can park there at Carter Lake Campground Hiking Trail, but they got Carter Lake right here. It's good for trout fishing, like medium-sized trout. And it also has a small boat ramp here for small boats, small engines. Going down this little dip here, mile marker 200 on the Oregon coast, so 364 miles. Look at that beautiful view at sunrise with the road turning like that. And of course, right here we have world famous, and I do mean it's one of the biggest places in the United States. Oregon Dudes National Recreation Center right there. It's by the Department of Agriculture. And it is it's famous worldwide. It's a big, huge thing for the United States. I just had an 80-year-old lady from California blow me off the road in a Geo Metro. God bless her. She's probably on a big vacation. She was like, out of my way, Sonny. But ma'am, I'm 62 years old. She's like, move along, Sonny boy. I'm on a mission to see some gift shops. I like it when ladies older than me call me a young man. You know, I'm like a little kid to them. I'm like one of their children they had when they were 16 years old. Tekanich Lake, boat ramp, Tekanich Lake. And back there we had Elbow Lake. There's nothing there anymore. It used to be some pretty good trout fishing 20 years ago. Now it's just, they don't stock it. Now, back in the day, 20 and 30 years ago, I'm not making this up, they used to have a helicopter fly to all the lakes on the coast back when the state used to have a lot more money. And they dropped trout inside every lake every spring. But it costs, millions of dollars to do that. Now, they still do it, but not usually with a helicopter. They just do it out of the back of a water truck. And they only do, like, the tourist campground areas, really. But Elbow Lake back there used to be a place you could park down there, 4 or 5 cars, and you could catch some nice medium-sized trout there all day long. But now it's overrun with, like, algae all throughout it. So the only thing down there now is like tree frogs and birds and bugs and maybe a few turtles in there somewhere. I'm sure there's some beaver in there. I saw a couple black bear go down there, drinking water and stuff, messing around. There was a guy back there in a van, living in a van, sleeping in the woods. I mean, anyone can live in a van or a truck camper, or even just an old truck with a topper on it, an old truck shell. Look at that small camper. But you need money. You will eventually run out of money without a job, or your mom giving you an inheritance or something, your grandma. Or you need to be on Social Security, or you need to be on disability, or you need to have struck it rich or something. I don't care who goes out there and what you take, it doesn't matter. You need money every month to live. There's a lot of well-meaning people on YouTube, and they will never tell you. They'll tell you they're doing fantastic, but the truth is, they're holding a cardboard sign on the side of the road begging for money, but they don't film that. They only film all the cool stuff they're doing. They'll never tell you that they're begging for money because they're broke. They're out of money. You can't travel without money. I'd like to own this old railroad car here, make an apartment out of it. That thing's so big, you can make 2 apartments out of it, like a duplex railroad car. You could live on one side, and your ex-wife would live on the other side. That way, you wouldn't have to pay her alimony. Just put a big, huge, thick wall between the 2 of you. Of course, you need 2 bathrooms, 2 kitchens, 2 TVs. I'm sure someone's doing it. I'm sure someone is living in a duplex today with their ex-wife or ex-husband on the other side of the duplex. And they're doing it just for money. Just to save money. We're in Gardner. Gardiner. Population 27. 27 people live here. And if you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you in San Francisco. There's another small camper. That's what people are doing now. They're going small. We got the Reedsport Oregon drawbridge here. It's kind of like the Florence Oregon drawbridge. It's very similar. It's just a little, it's just smaller. Reedsport, Oregon is a beautiful little tiny small town. When I moved here, they had like 3,000 people. Now I think they got 5,000 or 6,000. I'd have to look it up. Even Brookings down on the southern Oregon coast. I mean, 25 years ago, they went from like 2,500. Now they got like 6,500 or 6,000 in Brookings. And they have had like half a dozen small businesses open up here last year along the strip here. There's a new brewery, a couple restaurants. There's a new cafe right there. It looks real nice. I don't stop at the Sugar Shack Bakery anymore because I gave it up. I haven't had sugar in, I would say, 75 days. I don't drink coffee, milk, tea, nothing. I drink water. Right now, as of this morning, I'm down 63 pounds. Yeah, I lost 63 pounds. I gave up 97% of fat, salt, 0 sugar. I gave up most of all dairy. I gave up 96% of meats. I usually eat canned salmon or fish. So in another 90 days, I'm going to be down 75 pounds. I'll lose another 12 more pounds, and I'll lost 75 pounds in like 90 more days, June, July, and August. And I will tell you something about that. For those of you who want to lose, 5.5 pounds. Once I stop putting the junk in my body and all healthy foods, vegetables, fruits, water, oatmeal, rice, canned fish, extra virgin olive oil only. When I did that, my body took over and started, my metabolism turned back on and started burning fat like crazy. And that's why I was able to lose the weight so fast. And it happened after about 30 days. But you have to be 100% faithful to the diet. Like I learned, if I eat just one thing of sugar, then my body stops burning fat for 24 hours. Or if I eat fattening foods like a cheeseburger, then my body instantly stops burning fat for 48 hours. At least that's how it's working for me. I'm pulling into Dean Creek elk viewing area. I see the elk out there, but they're way over there. They're not even awake hardly yet. They're not even standing up. It's only like 8:30 in the morning. I do have some elk videos on this channel if you go searching for them. There's a nice little stream. Some upside down bellflowers, some cattails, some sparrows flying around, some red-tipped blackbirds. So amazing. I am the only car here all the way down. I'm the only one. There's the elk laying down out there. See him laying down? I'm zoomed in 10 times. That's all I got. That's all I got. It's funny how we all find something to complain about. I never even had a phone with 10 times zoom when I was a kid. Now I got one and I complain I don't have enough zoom. Look at these coming in. They're white, but in the sunrise they almost look bluish. They got a bluish tint to them at sunrise. Yeah, see, that one is blue, kind of, see. That's the kind of elk you got here, Roosevelt elk. Just like this big bad boy right here. Now every year, the barn swallows come back here. See the nest? They got them all over here. Look at that barn swallow just perched on that right there. Check it out. Isn't that beautiful? That's a beautiful sight right there. They got tons of geese and all kinds. This is why you love these wildlife areas. There's tons of different kinds of ducks and birds down here that migrate throughout the year here. Dean Creek Wildlife Area, if you want to look it up, it's about 3 miles east of Reedsport, Oregon. It's a real treasure. Please do not try to ride on the back of the elk like they do in Yellowstone National Park. Look at the size of that toy hauler. That thing's like 42 foot long. See the stream there? They got all kinds of purple flowers down there. It's beautiful. And right next to us, we got the Smith River. It'll show up in a minute here. That's a whole adventure by itself. You go on the other side of the bridge and turn east on the Smith River. It's like 30 miles of one amazing adventure going east. And it goes all the way up to some waterfalls. Yeah, you can see it down there. Look at how beautiful it is. Someone else living in a van full time. So in Oregon here, whether you agree or disagree, I'm just going to tell you what's happened. They've been kicking, we had like an epidemic of people coming to Oregon and broken down motorhomes for like the last 5 years. But now the last year they've been kicking them all out. Now, they can't tell them to legally leave the state of Oregon, no. But they can tell them you can't have that motorhome on the street, so then they leave the state. So now we still have a bunch of people here living in vehicles and trailers and stuff, but they're all in good shape and they run, and as long as you're willing to move around every couple days, nobody will bother you. And as long as you don't leave a bunch of garbage on the side of the road, nobody's going to bother you. Now, they still have that problem about 50% up in Portland. You know, or like down in Medford, the big cities, but Most all the broken down motorhomes, you know, that cause the garbage break, you don't see them around anymore. But you do see a lot of people living in vehicles that run. And as long as you're willing to move around every 1 or 2 days to a new spot, and you're not staying in some place that's marked, you know, don't stay here, obviously. Then the you know, the police and the officials, they don't bother you. As long as you're somewhat of a normal person. Nobody will bother you. I think I need to go to the car wash. As long as they got quarters, sometimes you pull up here and they don't have any quarters in the machine. Then I need to leave. Inflation hit my car wash. I like using this little car wash in Reedsport, but it used to be $3, now it's $5. But it doesn't bother me because it has all new equipment. The guy redid the whole place, so I'm happy to pay the extra money. He's got new vacuums back there, all new hoses, a new thing to put your money in. That's awesome. So the car wash went from $3 to $5, and in Florence, it's still $3. The self-serve one is. Look at that old car inside Nick's garage. The railroad tracks. One thing I wish Florence, Oregon had was the railroad, but they don't. You got to go east or south to see the railroad up by Florence. I think it's because, you know, back in the day they moved everything by river. Because we have a huge river. Of course, in Reedsport they got, I mean, huge river, the Umpqua River, but you know, 80, 100 years ago, they used to move everything by the Siuslaw River. Well, now because the river's so far away from the ocean, they don't move merchandise up there anymore. It's just all done by truck nowadays. Look at that homemade wooden camper. You always know you're in good old boy country, hillbilly country, when the guy pulls up in his four-wheel drive to the gas station and has a conversation with his friend, and every fourth word is the F word. 1, 2, 3, F, and 1, 2, 3, F, and 1, 2, 3, F. Every fourth word is the F word. That pretty much tells you where you're at. That's a nice little homemade camper on the cheap. He probably did that for less than 500 bucks. That's a nice little, good for localized rig there. Yeah, I haven't gone to McDonald's, haven't got coffee, Burger King, nothing. Like 75 days now, nothing. I'm going to go into the Reedsport Safeway here, and I'm going to get a salad and leave. That's all I'm going to get. I won't even use the dressing. Just get a salad for like $5. I don't go to Subway. I don't eat out anymore. Like I said, I've lost all this weight. We didn't got a salad. If you use a credit card at the gas station, gas is $3.95 here on the coast. That's expensive. Very expensive. Oh yeah. I went into the grocery store there was a lady begging for money. She was begging me to give her some money. She was an alcoholic. Now, I can tell because I used to work at a liquor store for a year when I was a young man. And I can tell when someone's been drinking their breakfast early in the morning. I'm not judging her. She was like 37 years old, slept on a bench all night at Safeway. You know, and everyone has an excuse. She says, can I have some money for the bus? There's a deer crossing the road right there. There's 2 deer just went right across the highway right there. Now they're running into the bushes. See them? They're running down the sidewalk like, uh-oh, this one's thinking about. The one won't get in there. I hope they don't count those in the local population here. As people. No, I could tell, you know, the lady, they all have an excuse. She says, can I have some money for the bus? I thought you're in Reedsport, Oregon. It's only half a mile long. There is no bus here. But of course, you know, it's sad how alcohol completely takes over someone's life. Or drugs. The only thing that works is prayer and Jesus. Now, if I'd have gave her $3 or $4, she would have used that to get into the liquor store down the street immediately. She wasn't a beer drinker, she was a liquor drinker. Hard alcohol. I worked at a full-size liquor store for over a year. I learned more about human nature in 1 year. You have no idea what it's like working in a liquor store. You see everybody in town, from the richest guy in town, the middle-class housewife, all the way down to the homeless guy sleeping on the front of the store. And they all have one thing in common. They want alcohol and they need alcohol. So I'll just leave it at that. I'll just stop talking about it. Hey, did you hear they canceled Dunes Fest in Winchester Bay this year? 2025, they just canceled Dunes Fest. No Dunes Fest this year. I mean, that brings in hundreds of thousands of dollars to this area for a week. See, that's broken down. What I'm saying, they got a tow sticker on it right away. 3 years ago, they let that thing sit there for 2 months before anybody did anything. Now they're kicking them out right away. Yeah, Dunes Fest, they said because they can't get a permit from the state and something to do with the insurance or something. You'd have to look up the news. The Oregon News, Dunes Fest, Winchester Bay 2025 canceled on the news. I mean, there's thousands of people that come to Dune Fest. I mean, look at how disappointed they are. It's probably one of the biggest events in Winchester Bay every year. It's got to be one of the top 4. And I think about all those businesses losing thousands of dollars over that week that they were counting on. That's the thing about change. C-H-A-N-G-E. If you stand still and you don't move for a week, things will change around you. If you stand still for a year and don't move, everything will change. It's like you can't go back to your childhood home, you know, you can't go backwards anymore. You have to keep continually moving forward with the changes. Now, you don't have to change and be, you know, crazy like that, but you do have to flow with it. You can still keep all your morals and, you know, all your Christian beliefs and your Bible studies, but everything around you is changing constantly. A lot of people, that's why they can't be successful, because they cannot keep up with the changes around them. It's kind of like a river. You know, a river overflowing. They can't keep up. I've seen it ruin a lot of people's lives. Here's Winchester Bay. We'll go look around. Yeah, all these people rely on, you know, Dunes Fest every year. I mean, it's so big, I never come down here on that weekend or that week. It's just huge. And now they say it's too late. They can't get the dates and it's all canceled. It was on the Oregon News. That's how I saw it. Well, they got a nice, new, beautiful sign there. If I was living in a motorhome, it would be in Reedsport, Oregon, or Winchester Bay, Oregon. You can stay down here all winter for like $800 a month. It might even be less. Even up in the Siuslaw, you know, Port of Siuslaw, you can stay there in the winter months now for around $750 a month. During the winter. So, I mean, if you have a truck and a trailer, a fifth wheel, a truck camper, a motorhome, I mean, you can live in it. You can still get $800 a month rent. Anywhere up and down the coast, actually. That's a lot cheaper than an apartment in Portland, Oregon, I'll tell you that. They got the boats here. I love the boats down here. Like here, all these people in the middle, a lot of them don't have electric hookup or they don't pay extra for it. But if you have solar, you don't need it. If you have solar all hooked up, you don't need the electric. I mean, that's why you made the solar. Solar. And then those people back in these little, they pay more. They got electric hookups, water hookups back there. Look at that nice little setup there. And he's got a boat. So he's probably just a weekender pulling his boat down here. Look at that low tide on the river. Well, it's low tide in the ocean and it affects the river. That's some of the lowest I've ever seen here. You know, they said Arizona and Florida now is in a drought. They said like 80% of Arizona's in a drought. And 65% of southern Florida is in a full-blown drought now. They said, in fact, down there by the bayous, the water is so low, the guys can't even take their boats out to make a living. Okay, we're in Lake County, and now we're leaving Lake Douglas County, right there. Douglas County. Just entered Douglas County.
Nothing.
All right, that was a good salad. I'm telling you, if you change your food 100% healthy your whole life, you will have, within 100 days, I guarantee your energy will double. Even if you only lose 30 pounds in 100 days, your energy doubles. It increases greatly. It's amazing. All right, let's go look around. Here's another nice truck camper that brought their boat down here, see? That's a nice size for like going camping for a couple weeks. I want to show you something over here. This Jack Unger Memorial Wayside. Now, people who fish for a living sometimes die because, you know, you see it on TV also. It's a very dangerous job to go out into the sea to get fish for people to eat and live. I'm just telling you the facts. Next time you eat a fish sandwich, you ought to think about how that fish sandwich got there. What a great time to be down here right now. There is nobody here and it's Friday. Well, Memorial Day was last weekend, so it was packed, but The weekend after Memorial Day, boy, that's when you want to go camping. You get the choice of any spot you want. That good old boy's making a living. He's mowing the lawns for the state parks, or the city or county parks. They did fix the crabbing dock down here. It's open again. They got the whole, they put a new end on it down at the, it's all fixed. Now there is the Umpqua River where it meets, I mean it starts way up past Reedsport, way up. It's the Umpqua River where it meets the Pacific Ocean right there. They got some awesome fishing down here and crabbing. But boy, they catch some huge fish down here in the Umpqua River. They got a bunch of people that live in a trailer park over here. I don't know, like 500 people. Maybe only 200 or 300. I mean, they live here. They got boats. They live on cheap rent and old trailers or fifth wheels or small motor homes. Boy, it's the good life. If you love sand dunes, fishing, crabbing, and eating, and just real simple living. Now these are all tourists there in $1 million motorhomes. I'm sorry, they're only $750,000. If I had $1 million, I wouldn't buy one. No. If I had $100 million, I wouldn't buy $1 million motorhome. I mean, it's just not who I am. I wouldn't get any more pleasure out of it than I would say a $40,000 or $50,000 motorhome, or something for like $60,000 at the most. You get the same amount of pleasure, so why waste the money? There's someone living in a Sprinter van. That was a jacked up Sprinter van. That thing's like $190,000. That's what I'm saying. Why spend $200,000 on something when you get just as much pleasure out of a $50,000 Sprinter van? There's the sand dunes down there. There's the Umpqua River Lighthouse. It's a short little, cute little lighthouse right in where some of the Coast Guard personnel lives. an old wooden boat that they used to actually use to rescue people. There's the big dock out there in Winchester Bay, the crabbing dock. And you look to the right, they fixed it. They put a whole new pavilion or whatever on the end, a metal one or whatever. It looks really nice. There's the expensive part of the camping. I think that's like $45, $50 a night or something. If it were me, I would just come in here and be a volunteer and get a free campsite. Just volunteer. I think it's 20 hours a week is all. And you get I mean, that's all up and down the Oregon coast. If you volunteer 20 hours, they give you a free place to stay every night. Plus, it would give you something to do. I mean, that's only 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, and then you got all the rest of the time to yourself to do whatever you want. That's a good deal, and you never have to pay for fees. And they put you in a spot with free water, free electricity. Because the state of Oregon loves its volunteers. Stern wheel or paddle boat back there that they just let go to rot. I wish they would have restored it, but whoever owns it doesn't have the money, I guess. It's been sitting back there for like 10 to 15 years. That guy yelled at me. He's like, hey, because I waved at him. Sportsman's Cannery and Smokehouse. Looks kind of cool. That guy from Idaho was smiling at me because I'm filming. Salmon Harbor bait and tackle shop right here. You know, if someone's listening, you know, you should never start your own business. You should never start your own business. You should buy an existing business that has failed. There's so many businesses for sale, they failed. There was a couple right back there. And all the inventory's still in them, and they would just sell you the business for less than the inventory. You should never start a business from scratch like that. You should just go offer someone $25,000 cash and take over the rent. You got all the inventory, and then start the business back up again, and you'll have a much better chance of being successful. As long as it's something you know how to do. I mean, there are literally millions of failed businesses in America that are just sitting there. I mean, and those people, they got all their stuff in a storage unit, or they're still paying rent on something, or someone died in the family, or they had to file bankruptcy in their personal life, so then they lost the business also. I mean, do you know how many businesses you can start in America for $20,000? I don't care where you live. I could go to your area right now today. I could find 500 businesses that are for sale for under $20,000. Even if they're asking 50, they're going to take 20 because they don't want it. And not everyone wants to do it. Like, this was a rock shop here. That guy would sell you that business for $6,000. And you'd get all his inventory and everything, he'd walk away and you'd open up the shop again for summer. You know how many motels are for sale in America? And the only thing they'll sell them for is like the value of the property, not the business, because they want to get out of it. You can pick up so many motels on the side of the road in America for 50 cents on the dollar. And put out a sign, a week later you're renting out rooms, making $80 a night for every room. And if it's a small 15-room hotel, you're making $15,000 a day. After expenses, you'd be making $4,000 to $5,000 a day. So how many people, you know, they say, I got $300,000, I'm going to buy a house. Okay, then you pay the interest. I got $300,000, I'm going to put it into the stock market. Okay, then you get 8% interest. So you get $25,000 a year. I got $300,000, I bought a motel and moved my entire family into one of the rooms. Now you're making $80,000 a month profit. In 1 year, you've completely recovered your investment and everything. Do you know how many food trucks are for sale in America? If you wanted to start your own food truck, you should never go out and buy a food truck. No. You should go buy someone's food truck. There's so many guys, they put $100,000 into a food truck. They ran it for a couple seasons. They don't know what they're doing. Now they're selling it for $40,000. I know, I've been in the restaurant business. I know a lot about motels. I've worked in them. Also, another thing, I'll tell you, I've been meaning to make a video about this, but maybe I'll make it more later. You know, people who work at banks never buy new vehicles? You want to know why? Why do people have been at the bank, they worked in a bank for like 4 or 5 years, and the owners of the bank really like them? You know what they do? They buy the repossessed automobiles from the bank that they work at. You know what you could do? You could go down to the bank and say, hey, I've been a customer of yours for 10 years. Where do I get a list of your repossessed automobiles to buy? I'm looking for a really good deal because I'm a really great customer of yours and I'll be paying cash. Or, even if you have to finance, they will say, I promise to refinance it through you. Or they will say, we got some vehicles, you can just take over the payments. After it's gone through foreclosure and everything, repossession, the other people have to still pay the deficit, and then you get the vehicle. Like, you go down and buy a $20,000 repossessed car or truck. Now, I'm giving you some really good information here. You can buy a repossessed car, truck, $20,000 for like $12,000 because the owner paid $8,000 buyout. And now you get it for $12,000. But it's still worth $20,000. So you know how you buy a brand new vehicle, 6 months later it loses 25% of its value? When you buy a repossessed vehicle at your bank, you increase the value of your car when you buy it. Look at this old Mustang, 66, 67. You know, that might not have been a Mustang. It might have been a Cougar. That might have been a Cougar. So yeah, I'm just telling you how to get things for way cheaper than you can even realize. And it also works for businesses. So you got someone, they borrowed $200,000 from the bank. They paid off $100,000. The business is sitting down there, and you go down to the bank and say, "Hey, I'm looking to take over an existing business." And they're like, "Well, we got this business been sitting down here for 9 months, and we don't get any money out of it. If you take over the business and the lease, we'll give you the business for $30,000 just to write it off and get rid of it." Because a lot of times the business is sitting there, and if the bank is the landlord, they're losing money. There are so many ways in America, in every single town and city in America, if you go and talk to your bank. You say, "I want to start a business." They'll have a list of businesses that foreclosed last year. You say, "I want to buy," the same works with houses. We got a foreclosed house here. We can't charge more than the owner gave us. So they lost everything filing bankruptcy. Now we got the property back. It's a $190,000 property, but we can only sell it for $80,000 because they paid the rest through the court system. You just have no idea. But what does the average American do? They pay full price for everything and finance it. That's why they pay full price, because they're financing it. But if you walk in with cash, you've heard the term, cash is king. Look at that Mexican restaurant there. They've been there 10 years. They started from scratch all on their own. I bet they've never taken a loan, and their whole family, Mexican family, works there and runs it, and they're doing just fine for 10 years. They could probably even tell you the first time they went down and bought their first inventory of food to make it through business the first week. I'm telling you, you should never pay full price. Like if you want to buy a trailer or something, or a motorhome, you should always be about 6 months ahead and go up to people. They say, "I want 20 grand for this motorhome." Or let's say $35,000. You say, "Well, I'll give you $20,000 cash today." Now you're going to go to 30 of those places. And 29 people are going to say no. But then the 30th one will say, I'll take it because I'm flat broke and I'm starving and I got a lot of problems. Now, you don't know if it's going to be the 30th person that says yes, or if it's going to be the first person or the third person that says yes. You may only have to talk to 5 people and that person says yes, and now you got a motorhome for half price. I used to buy cars all the time for $200 and $300.